Alright guys, welcome back to Legends of Evil, where I talk about villains from cartoons, anime, novels, TV, and everything except comics, because my good friend F.W. Waller takes care of that. He does the comic book villain department. I, however, deal with every other villain but comics. Yep. So let's talk about a villain that I've been wanting to talk about for the longest time. A villain that needs no introduction. The Cybertronian silver-tongued bastard himself, Starscream. And I'm going by G1 Starscream, so I'm going to talk all about G1 Starscream. Now, G1 Starscream first appeared alongside the other Decepticons in the first appearance of the 1984 classic show Transformers. And right off the bat, Starscream was someone who you knew he was a bitch. Starscream suffered a lot of, he more or less was envious of Megatron's leadership over the Decepticons, and every chance he got, he would try his best to rule over the Decepticons and have Megatron killed and be the ruler of the Decepticons. Now, that would have worked if he was a better strategist and also knew how to pick his allies better, and also didn't try to stab them. Basically, it really worked against him every time. Every single time you saw him, he was more or less getting himself into trouble constantly, and it was his own damn fault. But, however, Megatron in the G1 era didn't really learn his lesson until he finally died. We'll get to that. But yeah, Starscream more or less would just be like, this would be it. Oh, I'm going to be leader of the Decepticons. Die, Megatron. Oh, Megatron didn't die. Please don't kill me, Megatron. I am your bitch. And then, rinse and repeat. That was really how Starscream lived his life throughout the entire series. Now, Starscream, for what he is worth, was very cunning. He was very... But however, he had a bigger sense of arrogance around him than Megatron did, because he believed he was the superior Transformer. He was the superior Decepticon. And no, he was not. That was his problem. He was ungrateful. He was idiotic. But there was a smidge of intelligence in there. It's just that he was just stroking his cybertronic dick so much that he couldn't hear the sound of his own, inner thoughts going, "This is a bad idea, stupid." But yeah, Starscream was, of course, his alt mode was an F-15 fighter jet, topped off with multiple machine guns, rockets, lasers, and the personal favorite of his, the null laser, which could shut down anything electronic. It was kind of like an EMP gun. Now, this could even work on other Cybertronians. Why he never used this on Megatron, or hardly used it on Megatron, I have no clue. He tried once or twice, but he always seemed to screw it up. Maybe he was just like, let's not try that again. But yes, Starscream didn't really have a lot of respect from the Decepticons themselves, even the short times he was in charge, because he was so overly dramatic. He was so... I think that's one of the reasons why we all kind of like G1 Starscream, was because he he more or less was so full of himself. He was just so happy, and we were all kind of like, yeah, you're kind of a bitch, but we love you. That was kind of his thing, and then I think a lot of people liked when Starscream from Armada showed up. That's when the real Starscream fan base really grew. In the show, in the original show, a lot of people are like, yeah, Starscream's just here to get his ass kicked by either Autobots or other Decepticons. But there was one time, towards the end of the series, when Megatron actually had really enough of Starscream and just decided, you know what, you're done. I'm going to exile you, and you're done. However, at that time, he also had his allies, the Constructicons, which he gave life, and they could become the all-powerful Bruticus. But, yeah, as most of his alliances go, he not only betrayed them, he left them to die, and of course we all know how that went for the rest of Cybertron. But eventually, down the road, Starscream got to be his. Starscream eventually managed to get his. Basically, he managed to get what he wanted. He managed to have more or less get rid of Megatron after his battle with Optimus Prime. He more or less said, "Oh, bye, bitch," and threw him out of Astro Train and let him and even his own fellow Seekers, Skywarp and Thundercracker, get thrown out. I'm like, dude, they're like in most continuities, those are your kin right there, and you just threw them off like it was nothing. Again, showing there's only one person that Starscream cares about, and that's Starscream. However, during a very idiotic, and again, this plays up on Starscream's need to be theatrical, need to be coronated as king of the Decepticons, in comes Galvatron, who wastes Starscream. And thus, the story of Starscream ends. Or does it? That's right, people, it turns out that there was a mutation in Starscream's spark that allowed him to literally... He's literally immortal. Well, in a sense, in terms of Cybertronian standards. Starscream first appeared as a ghost and working alongside Unicron, who was at the time trying to regain his body. And of course, he betrayed Unicron in his little scheme, but that didn't work so well. Eventually, he was cast among space and time for a while, and then finally found his way back to Earth in the past during the Beast Wars saga, where he took over Waspinator's body, took control of the Predacons, and fucked it up again. So, and then, obviously, his spark survived, and he flew out into space, swearing vengeance, which he never got. So, yeah. Starscream, for the most part, I like Starscream. Starscream's my favorite, probably my favorite Transformer. Why? I just love his how theatrical he can get, how much fun you can have with this character, and plus, he can be conniving and cynical and, very sinister when he wants to be. Those moments are far and few, mind you, but done right, Starscream can be a very dangerous opponent. I mean, he could easily convince either Autobot or Decepticon to work for him for his own ends. That's something Megatron couldn't really do. For some reason, Starscream could easily manipulate people into doing what he wanted for his own gain. Too bad he just didn't realize, hey, some of the people I work with are going to realize I'm going to backstab them in the back, or they are really shitty people and they're going to stab me in the back. So, vice versa. But in any case, I think the big thing with Starscream was that, again, he was so full of himself that he was literally his own worst enemy. He didn't really... If he was in Westeros and, trying to get the Iron Throne, this guy would be dead in a second. Then again, how can you kill a giant 40-foot tall, 30 to 40-foot tall robot that could turn into a jet, fly faster than a dragon? I take that back. He would actually do really good and claim the Iron Throne for himself. Although he would probably make his own giant throne out of the melted down parts of Megatron and Optimus and a few other people. I wonder if that's a fan art pic, by the way. I wonder if that's an actual fan art pic now out there, and I'm probably rambling right now. Anyway, but yes, Starscream remained a constant member of the Decepticons throughout a majority of its incarnations. 99% of the time you're going in any Transformers cartoon, you're more than likely going to see Starscream among the hordes of Decepticons led by Megatron, and he's still the same little bastard that he is, as he was back in the 80s. So yes, so that's really all I can say about all you can really say about Starscream. And once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I just talk about the cliff notes of villains. That's really all I do, is just talk about cliff notes of villains and talk about how awesome they are, or not so awesome they are. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about this villain. So once again, I hope you guys enjoyed me talking about another Transformer villain. And yeah, I know that you're probably wondering why there's a few videos of Legends of Evil and its original title, Faces of Evil, are gone. Was because I had to take them down, either because I was kind of afraid they were going to get taken down and I didn't want to deal with the copyright shit again. Anyway, so yeah, so you're probably going to see, to make up for all the lost episodes of Fate of Legends of Evil, you're probably going to see some repeats of some classic villains. And also with more information. I'm going to make them a little more, because I look back on some of those videos and I'm like, man, I just kind of stumbled through those, didn't I, in the past? So I'm going to do those a lot better. They're going to be better done. They're going to be better polished.